In the Middle Ages, animals were sometimes subjected to legal trials. This practice extended legal accountability beyond humans. Animals could be accused of various offenses, including property damage or even murder. A notable example occurred in 1386, when a pig was tried for murder. The pig was found guilty in court. The pig was subsequently executed as a consequence of its conviction. In medieval Europe, animals could be held legally accountable for crimes. This practice reflects a belief in applying justice universally, regardless of species. Legal proceedings could be initiated against animals for various offenses. This historical context highlights a unique approach to law and justice. A child was attacked by a pig in Falaise, France. The incident led to the pig's apprehension by local authorities. Following its arrest, the pig was subjected to a formal trial. The trial aimed to determine the appropriate course of action. The legal proceedings garnered significant attention. The outcome of the trial remains unspecified. An arrest marks the initial stage of formal legal proceedings. It involves taking an individual into custody under legal authority. Following the arrest, the individual is typically jailed or detained. This detention is part of the process of initiating legal action against the individual. The judicial process involves a formal trial to determine guilt or innocence. The accused is brought before a judge to face the charges. Witnesses are called to testify and provide evidence related to the alleged crime. Their testimonies are crucial for the judge to understand the events. The judge then assesses the evidence and testimonies to reach a verdict. The court convened to deliver its judgment. The pig was formally charged and tried under applicable laws. Evidence and arguments were presented during the trial. The court found the pig guilty based on the presented evidence. The pig was sentenced to death as a consequence of the verdict. Prior to the execution, the pig was dressed in human clothing. This act served a symbolic purpose within the ritual. The clothing was intended to represent human attire. This dressing of the pig aimed to symbolize moral accountability. It implied that the pig was being held responsible for its actions, as humans are. The practice highlights the cultural significance of assigning blame and justice. A public hanging was carried out. The execution was a result of a court's sentence. The subject of the hanging was a pig. This event took place during the day. The pig was publicly displayed as the sentence was executed. Historical records document animal trials in medieval Europe. These trials suggest such events were not isolated occurrences. Evidence indicates a notable frequency of animal trials during this period. These records provide insight into the legal and social attitudes of the time. Excommunication was a form of punishment. Historically, this punishment was not limited to humans. Animals also faced excommunication in certain contexts. This practice reflects specific historical beliefs. The reasons for animal excommunication varied. Excommunication served as a severe penalty. Banishment served as a consequence for certain actions within animal communities. This punishment involved the removal of an individual from the group. Banishment aimed to maintain social order and deter undesirable behavior. The act of banishment could have significant implications for the banished individual's survival. Exclusion from the community meant loss of protection and resources. This form of punishment highlights the importance of social cohesion in animal societies. Animals found guilty in trials faced various forms of punishment. One of the ultimate punishments was execution. This meant the animal would be put to death as a consequence of the trial's verdict. Execution served as a final and irreversible penalty. The severity of the punishment reflected the perceived gravity of the animal's offense. Animal executions were a component of the justice system in certain historical contexts. Animal trials followed structured and formal procedures. These trials involved designated judges to oversee the proceedings. Scribes were present to document the events and outcomes of the trials. Trials were often conducted in public, with audiences observing. This public nature ensured transparency and accountability in the trial process. Medieval justice systems were influenced by specific belief systems. These beliefs extended the concept of justice beyond the human realm. Animals were sometimes subjected to trials and legal proceedings. These trials reflected the medieval understanding of justice encompassing all living beings. Trials often incorporated symbolism to communicate deeper meanings. Symbolism was used to impart moral lessons to those involved in observing. The symbolic elements reinforced the established societal order. These symbols served as visual and conceptual reminders of justice and social norms. Trials were often based on a strong belief in a divine order. This belief system posited that justice must be served without exception. The concept of divine order transcended human considerations. Therefore, justice was pursued regardless of who committed the act. Medieval trials were deeply embedded within the cultural context of the time. The legal processes were often intertwined with religious beliefs. Superstition also played a significant role in the proceedings. This blurring of lines complicates our understanding of justice in medieval society. Modern perspectives often view historical trials as absurd. This perception highlights the evolution of legal thought over time. Ethical standards have also significantly shifted. Practices once deemed acceptable are now considered unjust. This evolution reflects societal progress in understanding justice. Therefore, modern views offer critical insights into historical legal proceedings. Historical trials were serious events reflecting the beliefs of their time. These trials must be understood within their specific historical context. The seriousness of these trials stemmed from deeply held societal convictions. These convictions shaped the perception and execution of justice. Therefore, historical context is crucial for interpreting the significance of these trials. Pig trials served a dual purpose beyond simple retribution. One key aspect was the restoration of cosmic balance. The trials aimed to address disruptions in the natural order. Punishment was thus intertwined with a broader concern for universal harmony. Therefore, the trials were not just punitive but also restorative in nature. The execution aimed to re-establish equilibrium after a transgression. This act was perceived as a necessary step to correct a disruption. The disruption was caused by the initial crime. The execution was intended to restore a sense of order. Medieval justice encompassed all beings, regardless of species. This inclusive approach reflects a distinctive legal philosophy. The legal system did not limit its jurisdiction to humans alone. Animals and other entities were also subject to legal consideration. This broad scope highlights the unique characteristics of medieval justice. In medieval Europe, the concept of justice extended beyond humans. This broader view included animals within the scope of legal and moral consideration. Animals were not merely seen as property, but as entities deserving of certain protections. Legal proceedings could even be initiated against animals for certain offenses. This perspective reflects a unique aspect of medieval legal philosophy. Modern legal systems differ significantly from medieval practices. One key difference lies in the understanding of responsibility. Medieval systems often relied on collective or familial responsibility. Modern systems emphasize individual accountability for actions. The concept of justice has also evolved considerably. Modern justice systems prioritize due process and fair trials, unlike medieval practices. Reflecting on animal trials offers a unique lens into medieval worldviews. These trials reveal historical perspectives on justice and moral responsibility. Analysis of these trials provides insight into the development of contemporary legal systems. The concept of holding animals accountable reflects evolving societal norms. Examining animal trials highlights the historical roots of modern legal and ethical considerations.